Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and I've got a question for you today. Are you overwhelmed? Are you feeling busy, but you're never feeling productive?
Yes.
Can you relate? And if you can, you need to implement what we are talking about today.
Yeah. So this kind of came about a few weeks ago. I was going through the motions where my days, I would get to the end of them and I would look at Michael and go, what the hell got done? I would get like 70% done. And I know that we have these big goals and we've clearly defined our big rocks. And I know what I need to do, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like I was being productive. I wasn't feeling like I was actually accomplishing anything. So I went back and I looked at my calendar and I really assessed where my time is being spent and what I am doing in those time blocks. And that's what we're going to talk about today is a time block and how you actually have to set it up. Because I see this get thrown around a lot where you need to time block and you need to be strategic and you need to make sure that you're focused on needle moving activities. But there is an art to this.
Yeah, there is.
You have to set it up and you have to be very, very clear. And I want to talk about what those things are today so you can be set up for success and feel productive at the end of the day, doing the things that move the needle in your business, regardless of your position, regardless if you're a sales professional or a business owner, there are certain things that you have to do every single day that make you feel fulfilled and that add to your paycheck.
Yeah, so I want to dive in just real fast before we get into time blocking. What is a time block? How to structure? You said you were going through the motions. What do you think caused going through the emotions, or why do you think you were going through the motions?
I think I was being very reactive. Like an email would come across. We have a lot of things that are going on. So I was being very reactive and I wasn't guarding my time. I wasn't sticking to these are the things that I have to do every single day. So I wasn't being intentional. I was being reactive. I mean, I was letting things happen and just tasking them as they came across. An email would come up with a problem. Yeah. I would address it. Something would need to get done. I would handle it. And I would have some structured time, but I wouldn't get all the way through because I was missing the middle component. I know what I was missing when I went back and reevaluated. I was missing the clearly defined expectation when I got into the time block.
Well, and even going through the motions, like if I had to guess, you were probably also doing a lot of the things that you may not bring you a lot of joy. You were getting to the end of the day and you were feeling like, shit, I worked a lot today, but what did I actually accomplish? And so, and all of that's going to stack onto the just going through the motions.
Well, I think too, when I look at it, we have clearly defined goals and we have things that we are working towards. And if I'm reactive and just tackling emails and tackling problems as they come, I haven't built any time to work on the things that move us towards those goals. And then I start to feel very behind. Like I have to play catch up of, okay, we set a target of the end of the year and my days are getting eaten up. Doing things that I know aren't moving us towards that.
And then so all of a sudden, the end of the year's here and you're like, uh-oh.
Then you're trying to play catch up.
So and I love that you brought this up because I love this topic. So first of all, let's talk about what is a time block. So a time block is a designated time on the calendar that is going to help you prioritize your time. And most importantly, it's on the calendar because if it's on the calendar, it gets done. Now, you can break it into 15-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute, or 1-hour time blocks. My personal favorite is the 30-minute to 45-minute segment. An hour is too long for me. 15 minutes is way too short for me. And so all you're going to do in this designated time block that's on your calendar is you do the thing at hand, the task at hand that you are supposed to be doing. That's it. You're not answering phones. You're not going to be checking emails. You're not going to be cruising on social media. all you're going to be doing, for example, maybe you're a sales professional, or I hope you are a sales professional. That's why you're listening to the Insurance Buzz. All right. And you need to prospect because you need to write life insurance. You have life insurance goals that are coming up, and you have a goal every single month. Let's say you have 5 life policies you need to do every single month. Problem is you're not prospecting for it. So you have a prospecting time block that you put on the calendar to call current customers, call new customers, whatever it is. And for those 30 minutes, all you're doing is prospecting for life insurance to try and fill your life insurance funnel or pipeline. That's it. You're not checking emails. You're not text messaging. You're not cruising on Facebook. All you're doing is the task at hand, which in this example is prospecting for new life insurance customers.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. Clearly explaining what a time block is.
Yeah.
So next, let's go into how to even structure or set up a time block so that you set yourself up for success.
Yeah. So I was going through this, and simultaneously we were having a coaching call, and our coaching client was going through this. And I love how we're all going through this 100%. To some degree. There is some aspect in your life that you're looking at that you're going, it's a heavy sigh. So when you think about a time block, it's really like a sandwich is what I like to think of. So before you go into the time block, there is an area of prep that needs to happen. So it is the what do you need to go into this time block? So you talked about prospecting, and we're getting ready to talk about life insurance because we're going into Life Insurance Awareness Month. So let's just stick with life insurance. So if you're going into your prospecting time block and you're prospecting for life insurance, you need everything to be successful prior to that time block. And what I mean by that is you need all of your notifications turned off. You need to have communicated with everyone in the office, and you need any lists, anything that you need going into that to make you feel successful. So that's lists, that's whatever you're going to call on, whatever screens that you need pulled up, whatever prospecting or CRM tool that you have, all of that has to be ready to go. Everything else has to be out of the way. You have to communicate with your team that you are in your time block and have them answer the phone because you are not taking any inbound calls. Oh. So that's the first part of the time block. Preparation. And that takes a little bit. That might take 5, 10, 15 minutes before you go into your time block. The second part, this is the most important part, I think. This is where I was finding myself. I had it on the calendar. I'm getting in it and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling unfulfilled here. What is a win? There has to be a clearly defined expectation when you go into your time block. So if you are in a life prospecting time block, there's a lot of things that you can do with life insurance. Are you focused on setting appointments? Are you focused on actually quoting? Are you focused on closing? What is the focus here? Okay. So you have the prep. Now we're in the middle of the sandwich. What is a win? What is a clearly defined expectation? And everyone should know this when they go into their time block. So if you're a business owner and you have a team member who comes out of the time block and they're like, yeah, it was good. They don't know what they were supposed to do. You don't have a way to track that. That's not going to be a successful time block. Yep. There's no clearly defined expectation. So have a clearly defined expectation for the next.
Yeah, no. For example, the client that we were walking this through, her expectation was, okay, my team is going to go in for an hour. They're going to make life insurance prospecting calls. And my expectation would be 3 set appointments from the hour of calls. So that was now the defined expectation.
Yep.
Okay.
So you have the front end, you have the middle of what is a clear win? What do we look like when we get out? How do we high five and know I hit it? Right? So that's the middle part. The last part, which I love, is the feedback. So that is, where did I get stuck? What felt like, I kept getting this objection, or I didn't make any calls and connect with anyone. So maybe you're calling a leads list and you're a team member and you can never get a hold of anyone. If you never tell the person who is sourcing those leads, they have no idea. They're coming to you going, why aren't you connecting with anyone? And you're like, well, the leads are trash. So I need better leads. But it's all this feedback. It's a conversation of, okay, I got in here and I kept getting the, I need to think about it objection. Let's role play a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's really the key component is the front end of preparation. And that's role play too. I never like to swing my first bat on a customer.
That's right.
I am in I'm practice swinging before I go in and have a conversation.
Yeah. And obviously that's an episode for a different day. But yeah, if your very first conversation of the day should not be during the prospecting time block. It shouldn't be during your time block. It should be with a teammate prior to the time block, so you're warmed up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying. Like, you never watch any batters get into a batter's box without taking a couple practice swings before they step into the batter's box.
Just come up cold.
Yeah,
just
man.
See what we can do.
That's a good way to tear a muscle. Like, and maybe when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about that, but now that I'm a little older, I'm like, ooh, I could pull something. I mean, when I'm swinging my pickleball paddle, I gotta get warmed up before I'm over there stretching. I'm getting all warmed up because I don't want to pull any muscles. I want to be able to still play the game.
Yes.
All right. Anyways, we're getting a little off.
It's true, though. It is true, and it's this loop of preparation, expectation, feedback. That's all it is: preparation, expectation, feedback. But you have to clearly communicate those, and you have to be okay with asking for help at the end of it. So if you come out of the time block and you had all these objections, or maybe people were just feisty, that's okay. Communicate that, because again, if we know on the front end what we need to do to set everyone up for success, that's a different conversation.
It is. And the feedback is about the results.
Yeah.
And then it's like what went well? What did you struggle with? Great, coach. Okay, this is what you'll do next time in the time block.
Yeah. So you talked about the time. I do a 20-minute.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I will set my timer for 20 minutes.
It is wild how different we are polar opposites. I'm like, it's got to be 15, 30, 45 an hour. You're like, I'm going to do 20 minutes.
So how I set it up is...
I love this because there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Okay. So it's a game for me.
Okay.
So I go into an hour time block, but I set it up in 20-minute increments. Because if I know my desired outcome, let's say, is to contact and quote 3 people, I'm going into it like a game. So I'm going, okay, my first 20 minutes, can I get it done in the 20 minutes instead of the hour? I always try to hammer home. And if I can, I'm like, that's cool. I'm actually in an hour time block. I got another 20 minutes. And then I have another 20 minutes. Because for me, I'm trying to get a quick win and a boost of confidence, because the very best time to quote somebody is after you've already quoted somebody. So I try to ride momentum as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually brings up a really valid point. So we had a live training the other day. We were actually talking about time blocks and prospecting, and we were asked a really good question. I want to review this with you just real fast. So the producer asked Michael and Courtney, if you're in your time block and you're making calls and you get someone on the phone, should you go ahead and quote them and have the conversation, or should you just jot down their information and continue with your time block of making calls? My question to you right now is, if you are thinking to yourself the same thing, what is the original intention of the time block? What is your original intention of the time block? Is it to just call a bunch of people, or is it to quote somebody? Is it to set the life insurance appointment? You go straight into, if you're on the phone and you're making prospecting calls like this individual was hinting at, you're going to go into that quote. You're going to go into that conversation because you have a hot lead on the phone. You're not going to just collect information for just a couple minutes and then move on. You need to make the most out of this opportunity, because that's why you're in the time block in the first place. But again, this could go back to not having clearly defined expectations and what a win looks like in the office. So that's why that middle step is so important that you hit it, that you talked about earlier. But that was a really great question that we actually get asked every time we talk about time blocks and prospecting. And so I wanted to go ahead and talk about that just a little bit here. Like, what is your intention at the time block? When you get somebody on the phone, have that conversation, baby.
Quote some business.
Let's go.
Like, let's do it.
Let's go.
Ride that momentum.
That's right.
So I want to address the other question that we had that I thought was really good before we wrap up. And it was, let's say you get to the end of your time block. You're in it for an hour and you didn't have any success. Like, your defined expectation was 3 quotes. You get to the end, you made 30 calls, nothing, nada. Do you start the time block over or do you move on? I'll let you answer that.
I'm going to say that you move on.
Yeah, I would agree.
You don't start the time block over because you have designated time blocks for hopefully everyone in the office. So when you're finished with your time block, the time block is over. Mm-hmm. Now, you may go through, look, I'm not here to say you're going to get a connection every single time block. You can make calls for 30 minutes. You can make calls for an hour and never contact anyone. That's just the part of being in sales. But that time block, you were intentional with what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. You were efficient. It's making you feel good about what you do. And then you're going to get a lot of return phone calls. Yes. Okay. And that's really what this is about. This is about intentional activity. Mm-hmm. And I know we're talking a lot about the sales aspect of things right now. You can do the same thing in a position. Hey, 30 minutes to go through and just call on claims, or 30 minutes to go through and whatever your time block is.
I have a time block. I do this pretty frequently, and it's called Get Shit Done. And it is a 30 minute.
GTS, baby. Or not, GST. I'm sorry. Not Google that shit. GST. Get shit done.
I say shit a lot in our organization. Get shit done. And so I actually do this one for 30 minutes because it's task driven. It's not production driven. Yep. So I'll do it for 30 minutes, and it's my GSD time. And it's all these random tasks that are floating around.
Yep. And you just get them done quickly.
Yep.
So to answer your question, I want to circle back to that. Yes, move on, because it should be another person's in your office time block time. And we have to respect their time. You win as a team, you lose as a team. When it's their 30-minute or 1 hour time block or 20-minute time block, this is about them and their ability to go out and fill their pipelines. And then again, you should have multiple time blocks on the calendar every single day. So you're going to get your chance at it again, or you're going to get your chance at it tomorrow. All right. But again, look at the positives here. You just maybe you had an hour time block and you made 45 dials.
Yeah.
You have 45 opportunities to have call-ins that you can then maximize that and do what you originally, whether it's quoting, whether it's setting appointments, whatever it may be, you did the activity.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is so important with the time block. And I know it sounds simple, but everything in life that I have found that has real gritty success is a pretty simple process. It's about sticking with the process.
Discipline.
It's the discipline with the process, because you will never be able to control the outcome of it. You won't. Yeah. There's going to be so many factors that come into play. But if you start rewarding yourself for going through the process and sticking with it, that to me is true success. Because it's having patience with, I know this is going to work out. I'm mastering my craft. I'm going in there prepared. I have a clearly defined expectation. I'm asking for feedback. I'm role playing. I'm practicing. If I do that every single day, that's powerful. I mean, you think about it like the gym. It's like spending an hour every single day working on your health. Every single day. There's no way that you can improve. There's no way.
That's right. Because you're being proactive versus reactive.
Right.
And here's the thing that you're hinting at is consistency beats intensity every day of the week. When you talk about being successful long-term, you can't just do things, oh shit, I'm behind on my goals. So for 8 hours today, this is all I'm going to do. And then guess what? Then that's not a consistent habit you can do. You can't focus on one thing 8 hours a day every single day because you have so many other things going on.
Yeah.
And so that's why time blocking, prioritizing your time, what's actually important and moves the needle so that you can be successful, so that customers can be successful. That's what we're talking about today. Because again, you have a gym membership and you go one time a month. And you just give it everything you have for those. Maybe instead of an hour, we're going to stay in there for 3 hours to make up some time. And you can't even walk out of the gym. You're crawling. You're army crawling through the door, man. You worked out your legs so much. You're about to puke. You maybe did puke. But guess what? You don't see any results. But if you consistently go to the gym every day and you work out for 30 minutes, an hour, guess what you're going to see in 30 days? You're going to see some results. You're going to be like, dang, I think my bicep got bigger this month. Oh shit, look at these abs coming through, man. Dang, my waist went down a little bit. consistency over intensity. I know I'm getting high pitched now because I'm getting excited, but it's so true. Time blocking will make sure that you don't leave the day anymore feeling overwhelmed. What did I do? What did I accomplish? Time blocking is going to help you feel productive. Feel like you won the day. Feel like you did everything you were supposed to do to actually be successful in your role. That's all I got. I got fired up there for a second talking about abs and biceps, baby. Let's go.
I support that. Abs and biceps for sure. I am here for that. I love time blocking. It's all about communication too. You have to make sure that as the leader that you're communicating with your team, set them up for success, and you as the producer, as a sales professional, communicate where you're hitting roadblocks. Make sure that you are all on the same page of, this is what my intentional time looks like. This is my desired outcome. This is where I need help. And if you have that, you're going to have success.
Absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. We appreciate you. As always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we have. Go out, make it great.